everyone, you know me, Michael Myers. I was recently commissioned to make a prop replica of Michael Myers' knife from the 1978 Halloween film. It's a very simple and nondescript kitchen knife, so I took some creative liberties in its design. To start, I used some chalk to scribe an approximate template onto a piece of an old two-man sweet saw. From there, I hacked the blade out with an angle grinder and smoothed the rough cuts out into smooth and sleek contours. Then I went and grabbed some square stock from my scrap pile, and then I cut two sections to the blade's width. I hit them with some flux core wire, and I really burned them in solid. I haven't used flux core in a long time, so you bet your fucking ball sack that my welding looks awful. With the bolster ready to be shaped, the knife is looking really good. I set the rough shape in on the bench grinder to save some time, but the trade-off here is that it shakes my finger joints more than Michael J. Fox on an 8-ball of cocaine. It's a good method and all, you just sit there after clenching your fists and feeling your bones and just just a terrible, terrible feeling. Then I use a flat chisel to knock off some of the spatter, which will save time when I start filing. I hit it with the file and be as careful as I can to keep the surface even and flat. To finish it all off, I hit it with a belt sander and smoothen everything out. I marked a center line and punched 3 spots to drill out the holes for the pins. This steel is pre-hardened to a higher degree than a standard drill bit, so using anything average will result in nothing but a melted bit and a broken heart. The solution lies in a custom ground masonry bit. The bit has a carbide tip which is harder than the steel of the blade, but is also more temperature resistant. I run it at a high RPM and apply good pressure until the bit gets so hot it turns the steel red. This makes the hardened steel temporarily soft enough that you could slide through it easily. This is the only method I've found to work, ever. Everything else I've tried has resulted in nothing but hours and hours of pain. Next, I make the rod for my pins. The masonry bit is far from precise, so I commonly have to make custom diameter pins. To do this, I toss a section of aluminum rod into the drill press, and I file it down until it fits. I clamp the tang onto a piece of walnut wood, and I use that to keep it aligned as I drill holes into it. I then take a jigsaw and cut out a handle blank. I sand the outer edges flat with some sandpaper, as these will be used for the inside faces of the scales. I use the jigsaw to roughly split the blank in half to make 2 scales. I cut the rod I'm using for the pins into 3 equal lengths, and I use those in conjunction with some bolts to loosely secure the handle together as I sand everything flush and set in the contours. I smoothen the handle out with some elbow grease and some sandpaper, and then I use a torch to somewhat carefully blacken the wood. I apply some min-waxed clear gloss varnish, which gives it a nice sort of sheen. Then I decided to hit the whole blade with a wire wheel in an effort to make everything even. I haphazardly dipped the blade in muriatic acid to etch it and give it the correct look. I forget that different steels give different colors, and so the knife ends up sort of uneven. In the end, I think it looks kinda neat. Peening the pins ended up with me marring the handle, and I made it much worse in an attempt to sand them down. I remembered that I was supposed to do this before applying varnish, but it was too late to try and go back, so I taped up the blade and started from square one. In the end, I think it looks even more accurate to the roughened blade that's featured in the movie. The shininess just didn't look right. The final product is rough around the edges and rather amateurish, but I'm more than satisfied. I don't have the patience to get it all perfect. I think it looks the part of an old and well-used, per se, knife from the 70s. I sort of like making props, as there's no need for tricky tempering work or anything of the sort, and it's not necessary to be super tough or well built. At the same time, though, I wish I could put an edge on this thing and just crack some watermelons or maybe some coconuts, but it is meant for the customer, so I shouldn't wreck it. Really want to, though. So, for my small but sizable following, I'd like you guys to let me know your thoughts on this type of video, as I plan to be doing these sorts of things from now on. I like having a script and just being a nice, comfortable place to record and not having to be put in front of a camera. Because, I don't know, ever since I quit my meds, I've just been seeing things whenever they put cameras in front of me, and I just kind of go nuts. So, it's more calm if I just stay in this locked cellar and record. But yeah, let me know. And sorry about the saliva problem. I just came back from the dentist, so it's just, like, it's kind of a problem, but, you know. Anyhow, I hope you guys have a nice day, and thanks for watching.